A young woman thought she could escape her abusive ex, but he tracked her down in a jealous rage. The brutal attack left her dead and highlighted the extreme dangers many face when trying to leave controlling partners. This recent UK case shows how separation often becomes the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship. She had told her friends she just wanted it to end. She had blocked him, avoided him, tried to move on with her life. But one cold January afternoon in Hexham, Northumberland, her ex-boyfriend followed her through the town centre for nearly an hour. He waited until she was in an alleyway beside a pizza shop, and then he attacked. He stabbed her 36 times. She was only 15 years old. Her name was Holly Newton, and the boy who killed her, the one she once called her first love, had warned her, in his own way, that if he couldn't have her, no one would. This is the story of a teenage relationship that turned toxic, of coercive control that escalated into one of the most shocking murders Britain has seen in recent years. Stay with me, because this case reveals how quickly young love can become a nightmare, and why leaving an abusive partner is often the most dangerous moment of all. Holly Newton was a bright, sporty one. 5-year-old from Holtwhistle in Northumberland. She loved Army cadets, where she was energetic, funny, and full of life. She had a close family and dreams for the future. By the time she was killed, the court would hear she had become trapped in a pattern of fear and control that no teenager should ever experience. Logan MacPhail, then 16, came from Birtley in Gateshead. He too was part of the cadets, which is where the two met. On the surface, it looked like a typical teenage romance. They were together for around 18 months. But from early on, the judge would later note, MacPhail displayed signs of intense jealousy and possessiveness. He needed to know where Holly was at all times. He became resentful when she spent time with others. Friends and family noticed the change in her, the anxiety, the pressure, the way she seemed to be walking on eggshells. Holly eventually found the strength to end the relationship. She wanted space. She wanted to move forward. But MacPhail could not accept it. The court heard evidence of stalking, monitoring, and emotional pressure. Holly had spoken to friends about his behavior. Her family had growing concerns. In fact, she had been due to meet with police to discuss the situation the very next day after she was killed. On 27 January 2023, Holly was out with friends in Hexham after school. MacPhail, consumed by jealousy and suspicion that she might be seeing someone new, began following her. CCTV and witness evidence showed he stalked her through the town for almost an hour. Then, in a narrow alleyway, he launched his attack. The assault was ferocious and sustained. He stabbed Holly 36 times in a matter of minutes. A 16-year-old boy who tried to pull him off was stabbed 6 times. Passers-by eventually dragged MacPhail away. The knife blade had snapped from the sheer violence of the assault. Holly Newton died at the scene. She was 15 years old. She left behind a devastated family who described her as their everything. A girl full of potential whose life was brutally cut short. In the hours and days that followed, the investigation revealed the full extent of the controlling behavior that had led to this point. Messages, witness statements, and MacPhail's own actions painted a picture of a young man filled with resentment and rage at the idea of losing control over Holly. At Newcastle Crown Court, after a trial, the jury rejected his plea of manslaughter and found Logan MacPhail guilty of murder and wounding with intent. Mr. Justice Hilliard sentenced him to detention at His Majesty's pleasure, the equivalent of life imprisonment for a juvenile, with a minimum term of 17 years, reduced by time already spent on remand. The judge described him as filled with resentment and jealousy. Forensic analysis confirmed the horror. The sheer number of wounds, 36 to Holly, spoke of a frenzied, determined attack. The snapped blade, the injuries to the boy who intervened, and the location in a public alleyway showed there was no escape for Holly once the violence began. There was no struggle consistent with a sudden fight. This was a targeted, prolonged assault driven by the killer's refusal to let go. Psychological analysis, in this case, highlights a pattern seen far too often in domestic abuse, even among teenagers. The coercive control, the monitoring, the jealousy that escalates when the victim tries to leave. The court heard how MacPhail could not tolerate Holly moving on. That sense of ownership. If I can't have you, no one can, is a deadly red flag in abusive relationships. Experts and the judge noted how this wasn't just a crime of passion, but the culmination of ongoing emotional manipulation and stalking. Holly had tried to do the right thing by ending it and seeking help. Tragically, as statistics repeatedly show, separation is often when the greatest danger strikes. Holly's family has spoken powerfully about their loss and the need for greater awareness around teenage domestic abuse and coercive control. Her mother described the pain of losing such a vibrant daughter to someone she once trusted. If you've made it this far, thank you genuinely. Cases like this are heartbreaking, but they shine a light on a vital issue: the dangers many women and girls face when trying to leave. If this is your first time on the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications. We cover true crime cases in depth 3 times a week. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.